Apparently, the mandragoras are extremely stress-sensitive, and they are like a sunfish-type monster. They basically can die from even the slightest environmental changes. Since he is planning on relocating the mandragora, he figures out that picking out the younger, more adaptable ones will be the best. The first thing he does is remove the roots, and he also thinks of covering his ears, since they are notorious for screaming when disturbed. He pulls one of the mandragoras out, but to his surprise, it remains silent. He assumes it's a fluke, and he pulls out another, but the result remains the same. In fact, the mandragoras are having a nice nap and couldn't care less. He pulls out several more, but none of them scream like he expected them to. Apparently, the scream happens when the plants are artificially grown by humans. Since the human world has low demonic energy, they are often stressed out, which is why they scream like hell. If they are forcefully pulled out, they also scream, and they end the sequence by dying. Since they are in the demon realm, the mandragoras have no reason to scream. However, Cheon is confused as to why the plants are not trying to run from him, because they should at least be trying to run away. Suddenly, it dawns on him that he actually has mandragora cells in his body, and they probably see him as one of them. He believes that this is a good thing because it is less stressful for him. Cheon is already thinking of the nice things he can get by growing the mandragoras, like tea, and even eating them as snacks. However, forcefully taking their fruits makes them poisonous, and Cheon figures out that he has to find a way to convince the plants to trust him. Just then, he notices that there are hunters in the vicinity, and he decides to check them out since he is curious to know what they are doing in the dangerous snowy mountains. Meanwhile, two hunters are facing off against a horde of B-rank rabbit-type monsters after they are left behind by their comrades. The two hunters are barely surviving thanks to their barrier, but even this is about to shatter. The two start regretting their actions of becoming hunters among all the other jobs available to them. Just as they are about to be killed, something suddenly appears out of nowhere and hits the ground in front of them. This catches their attention, and that of the rabbits too. When the dust from the impact starts to clear off, they are surprised to see the image of a person approaching them, and it is none other than our MC. Cheon realizes that the monsters are engaging snow bunnies, and the moment the rabbits sense the aura coming from his body, panic sets in, and they all vanish into thin air. The hunters cannot believe that B-rank monsters just ran away at the sight of Cheon. The two thank Cheon for saving them, and they introduce themselves to him. He also does the same, but the hunters are genuinely confused because they have never heard such a weird name before. Cheon then asks the hunters why they are in the demon realm, because he can clearly see that they are low-rank hunters. The hunters confess that they did it because of money. Apparently, there was a task to capture a chimera alive, and the promised reward was very tempting. The moment they mention a chimera, Cheon becomes defensive, assuming that they are talking about him. Just then, the hunters mention that the chimera escaped from a lab, and it is said to be a mechanical-type chimera. Since he is not a mechanic,